All right, it's good to be back. Let's call this meeting to order. The vision of the Village of Valemount is striving for a vibrant and balanced community, and it's our mission to serve the community and embrace opportunity. So the first order of business is to adopt the agenda. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Bullock, all in favor? Let's call for amendments or changes.
I would just like to, under new business, put a notice of a motion for the next meeting.
Okay. All right.
I'll bring it up. It's just notice of something I want to bring up the next meeting, but I just want to bring it up now.
Okay. Great.
14.5, the development variance permit for Grenfell Place. In the recommendation, it states Cranberry Place.
Okay.
And I believe in the report to council, it's also stating, I'm just going to pull that up.
Right, so in the report or in the actual, the permit?
Just in the staff recommendation.
There you go, got it.
And also in the report to council, the options and recommendations, it's also.
Sure,
stated.
so when we get to that, we'll just make sure that we don't make the wrong recommendation.
Okay.
Just get that. Okay, any other items? All right. All in favor of the amended, yeah. Oh, we'll get a motion. Councillor Salt, I'll have you move the amendment.
I seconded it.
And then, okay, so we'll vote in favor of the amendment. All in favor? Great. And then in favor of the amended adoption of the minutes. Yeah. Perfect. Beautiful. We're doing it right by the books. You got it. You got it. You got it. And regional district too. I mean, it's a club. It's a club. Okay, here we go. So, and we've got the minutes from April 22nd. Yeah, Councillor Salt, Councillor Bullock. Changes to the minutes? Additions, deletions, looks accurate. All in favor? Great. No delegations tonight, no unfinished business. We'll move on to section 6, correspondence for action. First item is a request for a letter of support from the Valemount Marina Association.
I need to step out as I'm on the board.
Okay, very good, thank you. All right, very good. So Councillor Blanchette has left the room because of a conflict of interest there, as she's on the board of the Marina Association. But the letter's pretty simple. They're looking for a letter of support to do some neat stuff down at the marina.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I move that we support.
Okay, yeah.
Second.
Yeah, Councillor Latimer. And I really feel that if we were able to get this, sorry, in my own, the presenter has appealed to sort of some work that I'm doing, this idea of having time-lapse video of the reservoir level dropping would really help people in other parts of the Columbia Basin understand what happens in Valemount. Yeah. But also the whole thing of really making that a great recreational space by having people being able to check to see, can I go there? Like, brilliant. Turns it into a real resource. So, all in favor? That's great.
Thanks.
Okay, and we'll call Councillor Blanchette back into the meeting. Has this, just speaking to the presenter there, the person who brought this forward, has this been made public at all, or probably people at home have no idea what we're talking about at all? Yeah, so the idea is to, there's a sort of a cost analysis and feasibility study for potentially installing a bidirectional camera at the Valemount Marina that would give people a way to check in and see what the levels are like.
If I may, we're going to take it one step further, and we're going to be installing a weather recording system there as well. Preset, wind direction. We'll be able to do a really pre-feasibility study on whether or not we can actually power the marina using wind power. A lot of times in the past, Hydro has paid people to do a cost analysis and a feasibility study on wind power. And it's been too, and they call it intermittent for large scale, but a smaller scale, running the cook shack, for example, we could very well power a bank of batteries, install a generator, and have lights, street lights, things of that nature down at the marina to make it safer for all.
Very good. Great. Thank you. Okay, excellent. So moving on to 6.2. The CIBC has invited us to attend the branch's 50th anniversary celebration. I don't think we need a motion for this, but I will definitely plan to attend. And I welcome everybody else. Councillor Salt?
I've already advised the manager that I'll be in attendance as well.
Great.
I'd love to be, but I will be at work.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, right on. Good. So we've got, yeah, excellent. So we'll just leave that as it is and we'll move on to the next item here. Valemount Secondary School graduation ceremonies. They've asked me to go and congratulate the graduates, and
Motion for you to go if you'd like to go.
right on. All in favor? Yeah, that's great. I love that. I love going to the grad ceremonies. It's awesome. Okay, Valemount Youth Soccer. So, item 6.4. They've made a request to waive the fees associated with the rental of the secondary school field for Valemount Youth Soccer. And
Yes,
okay,
I would be in favor of waiving it. The reason why I would is because there is no infrastructure to maintain there.
right.
And then the mowing of the grass.
Okay, great. Excellent.
And we're only looking at 80 to maximum $160 in fees that are being waived, so it's.
You can't charge for grass.
Well, and I mean, it's supporting youth.
Yep.
Again.
There's up to 60 kids that go and play soccer on Monday and Wednesday nights.
Very cool. All right. All in favor? Moving along. Valemount Curling Club. That council considers whether to pass a resolution in support of the Valemount Curling Club's application to NDIT's Community Halls and Recreation Facilities Program for the installation of LED lights.
I support it.
Councillor Bullock?
I'll second it.
Councillor Latimer? Okay. Excellent. Great. Discussion?
I think it's fabulous. This is what was asked of them from the CBT Adjudication Committee. Council also approved that request, and I mean, knowing that they could get, almost $21,000 or about $21,000 to go towards that is fabulous. And that money could then go back into CBT funds, so.
Okay. Great. All in favor? Okay, excellent. Moving along. Reading file. Anything that you would like to pull up from the reading file, at your will. And if not, motion to receive the reading report. Councillor Bullock, Councillor Latimer, excuse me, all in favor? Right on. There's still lots to go, but we're moving through this thing. So we move into administrator reports, and item 8.1 is introduction to the bylaw enforcement officer. There's a report here, and the work for us is to receive the report that we have a new bylaw enforcement officer. Yeah. And I guess the trick is here is, I just like to say, I've been saying this lots, but just because I want people to have realistic expectations about that program. Our bylaw enforcement officer is not a superhero who swoops down in the middle of the night to solve all your problems. He's a liaison, so during the daytime, he goes out and sees, let's say something happened to you late at night that made you uncomfortable, maybe a dog came into your yard or something like that. Or there was some other complaint, probably to do with your neighbor. What the process is to file a complaint with the village office. And what Dean's role is to follow up with that. And it sounds like, we'll get into that in his report, but it sounds like there's already been some cases of success. So, yeah, he's not wearing a cape, but he's going to do great things. So all in favor of receiving that report? Great. Did we get a first and seconder on that? Yeah, Councillor Salt, Councillor Bullock. Great. Moving along. UBCM presentation opportunity, geothermal power. Right now, UBCM is looking for session proposals for 2014. And CAO Yanciw brought this up, that this might be a powerful way of continuing to raise the profile of geothermal power by having a session between Craig Dunn and me, maybe, on what geothermal power can do for, potentially for communities, like the cogen pieces. And I will say that it's been interesting, the sort of the high profile, like right up into the sort of the higher executive positions of BC Hydro. People say, we already have geothermal power going on in the province. And you're like, well, no, you don't. But it's important, people need to be educated. They only think that because they don't know. And what's the opportunity is to let people know, so, yeah. So, and I guess the idea is it'd be lovely to get the support of council to proceed with that.
I'll make the motion to get on the floor.
Sure, Councillor Salt. Okay, Councillor Latimer.
Question, do you know at this point whether we'd be looking at a workshop or a clinic? I think my preference would be a workshop. It gives certainly more time, but I know at the same time they have limited workshop space versus a clinic, so, and you're gonna get a bigger audience at the workshop versus a clinic.
We'd probably try for both.
Okay. I was gonna say, so hopefully one or the other will get.
Right on.
Okay.
Good strategy. Okay. Excellent. All in favor? Great. Great. Okay, Economic Development Officer report. So,
Make a motion to accept.
okay,
I'll second it.
Councillor Latimer. Comments, discussion, all in favor? Great. Public Works report. Item 11, Building Inspector report, 1.1. So, yeah, we need a motion for receipt. For folks at home that want to understand some of what staff do, you can get a good indication of what the building inspector has been up to. Looking through this report. Councillor Salt, Councillor Bullock. All in favor? Okay. Moving on to 12.1, this is the first bylaw officer report for the month of April. I'll move receipt. Get things moving. Councillor Salt. Yeah, I just want to comment on this. One telling sentence from the bylaw officer report that I think is interesting, surprising, but hopeful. In response to bylaw complaints, worked with residents through conversation for a quick resolution, as well as notice letters to others. So, boots are on the ground already. Yeah. All right, all in favor of accepting that report? Perfect. Another report, we have the accounts payable report. This is where all the money that's spent out in checks and every other way from the Village of Valemount are recorded here. So if you have concerns or you want to get a sense of where all the money goes, this is a pretty good way.
I'll make a motion to receive it.
Yeah, okay. And Councillor Bullock. All in favor? Shoot. 1 second. I totally lost my space. 14 point what?
13.2.
13.2. There we go. Okay, so the Director of Finance's progress report for the month of April 2014. Do we have a receiver? Councillor Bullock, Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? Great. And then there's the Climate Action Revenue Incentive Public Report for the year 2013. Okay, Councillor Latimer, Councillor Blanchette. And I just have one thing to, obviously we're approving this as an opportunity to amend it. There was one piece way down on the end here, I should have marked the page. It was on energy development, and it said no energy generation action type. It's on page 11 of the report. Action taken in 2013. I believe we did complete the study on the upstream water intake, which has an energy generation component to it. So if we could add that in there, that'd be great. So, I mean, it's not every year that you're like investigating energy generation, so.
Page 6 of the report.
Did you find that?
I have not yet.
It's at the top of the page. It feels like page 11 for me. Okay, she's got it. Okay, so moving along to bylaws and.
Just one, all in favor, sir.
Oh, all in favor? Great. Development variance permit 0214 for the Lions Hall. The Lions Hall is seeking to put on an addition. The staff's recommendation is authorize staff to prepare and issue the development variance permit to allow for an addition to the Lions Hall to be within the setbacks of the northwest and southeast sides of the property.
Make a motion for the table.
Okay. Councillor Salt? And discussion, yeah.
So does this address the concerns that were raised by the neighboring property owner that were brought up at the
Yes, it does.
first time this came
Would you like
through?
to elaborate? Quickly?
That'd be great.
The main concern from the neighbor, the renter, on the northwest side of the property was the shedding of snow from the addition falling on their property. And so the proponent, the Lions Hall, went back to their engineer, and they had the drawings redesigned so that the roof angles in towards their own property, so the snow will fall on their own property. So last week, or I thought it was last week, those engineering drawings came to us, and it just so happened that the owners of that building, of neighboring building, happened to be in town just for a couple days. And I invited them into the office with the renter, and the four of us sat down and we walked through all the drawings. And they were quite pleased to see that their concerns were listened to.
Great, thank you.
And there was also a comment from Clayton regarding fire protection. Was that addressed as well?
That's a great question. So on the southeast side of the property, it's not an issue because being within setbacks on that side, it's adjacent to the road. So it's a non-issue there. On the northwest side, it has been addressed in the sense that this variance is certainly less within the setbacks because it angles back for that sloped roof, and it is just an overhang. It's not an actual enclosed structure. What obviously isn't addressed is the fact that the Lions Hall still is right next to the property line, and if there was ever an addition on that neighboring property, then there would be an issue. But
That's not within our
but with respect to the variance, it has been addressed as best as it could be, I would feel. But yeah, thank you again for bringing that up.
Very good. So we've got it on the table. People feel they've got the information. All in favor? Excellent. Okay. Okay, so we're moving to development variance permit 0314, Canoe View Place. There is a request to put an accessory building at the front of the property with the height variation. Staff, this came to us before, and I think we asked for more information.
You specifically asked for the side view drawing of what it would look like if you were standing on Canoe View Place looking towards the marsh.
Right.
Looking at the garage and the house.
Right on. And so it's come back and we've got an image of what this will look like. It's kind of mocked up in a really excellent way that shows what it'll look like from the road. So anyways, so we've got the sense. To us, it made sense, maybe, there is some natural logic to this in that you can't access to the back of the property. It corners the marsh, so you're keeping the cars away from the property, away from that sensitive marsh area. But also putting the garage and satisfying our requirements that it doesn't look awful, you know. Yeah, so sorry, we've got a first and seconder for this piece? No? Okay, so I think we should do that. Okay, and Councillor Bullock. And, if we're finished with discussion, people feel they've got the answers they need, all in favor? Okay. We'll move on to, Development Variance Permit 0414, 1957, Cranberry Place. I'm just gonna pull up the drawing so I know. All right, and here I'm going to have, the staff recommendation is to deny the development variance permit. And I'm going to get some background just so we can get a sense of why staff is leaning that way.
Yeah.
Or if we can get background just on the project first.
Yeah. So the proponent came to the village requesting a variance. His claim was that the foundation for the building had been poured, but that he had switched contractors, and as a result of switching contractors, the initial design was no longer feasible part of the package, and the design he wanted to go with presented a new design for a porch. And to make the porch look symmetrical when you're looking at the house, he wanted to have the peak go both ways, but having the peak go one way towards the northeast or the north side would put it essentially 3 feet 1 meter to the property line. Now, where he wants to be within setbacks is bordering the massive undeveloped property just to the north of this. Staff felt though that these setbacks, especially on residential properties, in newly developed areas or areas that are still being developed are put there for a reason. And I think with staff's, when Ann and I talked about it, we felt we may be placing undue hardship on the current or potential owner of the adjacent lot, and that lot would then need to be made bigger as a result, potential result of this increased setback. And this is a perfect opportunity in the village to say we passed our zoning bylaw for a reason. These setbacks exist for a reason, and we can't always just waive it because, you know, someone submits an application. There are times when we do need to say there are proper planning principles that need to be upheld, and it's what staff's recommendation in this case that we stick to what's in our zoning bylaw.
I'll just speak to this for a little bit. It does sort of mess up the property line for the future. So as going forward, we have some non-compliance, which is if somebody builds up right and they're right up on their thing, then we have a problem into the future, which in my mind, it's in the Lions case, the building is there and there's not much you can do about it, but what can you do is in the future, try not to build. I guess every situation warrants its own, but I'll be voting for denying the development variance permit because it's a change in plan, but things are still in construction. You know, had the house been built, unfortunately, and was in that case, you know, you wouldn't say, okay, we'll shave off that side of the house or whatever just to get back into compliance. But the idea is the house was to one plan and now there's a change which puts it in there. And so it's up to us to say, well, you know, in advance of building, what's important. So I think for this one, I support the staff recommendation that we deny the development variance permit.
Does the builder have a plan B?
Not that I know of. It would likely involve either not having the porch or having an asymmetrical roof where the peak doesn't center with the higher peak, or it's cut off abruptly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I said my piece the last time this came forward, agreeing as well that if this being new construction, there really, to me, was no reason why the foundation should have even been placed where it was initially, even with their original plan. They were placing it very close to that property line to begin with when they have sufficient land area. So
That's a great point, actually. I'm glad you brought that up. The house is the foundation is very far to the one side of the property. And so this is not a problem what the village is doing, as rather as the desire of the applicant to be located in such a corner of the lot. So that's a good point.
I also agree to deny it.
Okay, so I'm going, because we've got a little bit of that, we got two people, and then I'm gonna move that we deny the development variance permit. Okay. We can entertain more discussion, for sure. We've got it on the floor. Okay. And I think it warrants saying, whenever you send out negative signals, you want to be very clear about what it is. It's so easy to send the wrong message, but we don't want to. We want to say, what we want to say is that when you're in your house and you're enjoying it, and in 20 years from now, you're retired out there on your deck where you build it in the right spot, you're not going to have to stare over to your neighbor who is 1 meter away from your property. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it so you can enjoy your property, so the other friends can, your neighbors can. High fences help with that. But at any rate, so we do want to send good signals. We love to see this sort of investment in the village. It's awesome. Keep on doing the work. We're sorry you had a change in plan. We hope that you can continue to duck and weave with us and work with our staff perhaps to find something that really suits, but also meets the bylaw requirements. So I'll call the vote. All in favor of denial? Okay. Moving on to the development variance permit on Cranberry Lake Road 0514. Holy, there are a lot of these, hey? Okay. I just have to look at the application here briefly so I know what we're talking about. Oh, this is Rocky RV,
That's right.
James Park.
Oh, not Rocky RV, Rocky Inn.
Rocky Inn, sorry, apologies. Okay, good show. Staff recommendation here is that council considers a development variance permit and chooses from the following options. Either require all the requirements of Schedule B of the zoning bylaw, some requirements of Schedule B of the zoning bylaw, and deny the application are the three things. And I'm going to duck and weave again. I'm not sure, you know what, I'll try to get this on the floor and then we'll test by this. I would, in light of the tremendous investment that's been made by James Park on a really terrible, terrible piece of property that's been an eyesore for ages, he's gone in good faith saying, I think essentially saying, the economy of Valemount's gonna rebound by investing and making things look good and putting our chin up. We're gonna succeed and prevail, and just due to the sort of the massive amount of investment that I see being leveraged there, not only on the restaurant side of things, but on the sewer piece as well to that property, which extends sewer to a part of the village that, am I in the right file?
You are,
Okay.
but we're still at early stages of that part of it.
I understand, but right, so that's not fait accompli, and that's important to recognize. I'm going to finish up and put my motion. I'm kind of making an argument when I should be just making a motion. I move that we waive the parking requirements.
All of them?
The Schedule B, yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's see if I can find a seconder for this. Have we got a seconder? Not at all? Okay, all right, that motion fails. Okay, so let's make a motion that we can get behind and then we can have a discussion.
Can we just make a motion to put it on the table to put it out to discuss?
Well, we have to choose one of the recommendations.
Okay, I'll make a movement to authorize staff to prepare the draft development variance permit waiving some requirements in Schedule B of the zoning bylaw and to notify the public of council's intention to issue the permit.
We'll start from Middle Road. Okay.
Now we can discuss.
Okay. Boom. Gloves are off. Yeah, go ahead.
He states that he's not planning on having any local people. It's just going to be local or resident or guests and bus tourists. But as we know, local people try to support our local restaurants. So I think that he does need some parking for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So I'm gonna rebut or whatever, or just, say my piece is I was out in the property today and I see that every hotel room has a parking lot in front of it, paved or actual paving stone, like the little red brick. And that's pretty uptown. And there is a gravel portion for sure that's there. But the idea is, I know, like I've seen the business, I know how the Rocky Inn works. And the idea is that they get buses there. And that's sort of a key part of their business plan. So a bus almost fills their hotel. One bus equals, so sort of went through what happens when a bus comes in. It fills, tonight it will fill 21 rooms, the bus. So that leaves four rooms left.
I'm not sure what the capacity of it is.
And then you've got parking for every space. So you've got 19 parking spaces if the place is totally full that are available. I recognize that it could happen that the Rocky Inn could be sold in the future and to somebody who's got more of a, let's let this out for car traffic. But I also want to honor this piece where, in many communities, in order to seek investment, they actually forego property taxes for a number of years in order to make sure that, to attract investment, because people like that idea of not paying taxes for some time. But the idea is it's when you make a big investment that you can get on your feet again. And I think in this kind of economic time, in what's been happening with the bus tour market, that there are a couple options there. One is to fold up, one is to keep going. Do what you gotta do to attract. He felt that what he needed is a restaurant that caters to his crowd to keep that business going. And yeah, I want to support the guy in whatever way I can, yeah.
I think so do we, but we just want to do it properly.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So,
Bus tour business in the village is down about 40% in the last 5 years. And the business is gearing more towards the fit travelers, which are the couples and the families, which fly to Vancouver and rent a car and drive here. So if he's planning on going that direction, and if he's got one room, he's got one car. So that's my rebuttal.
Okay. I want to seek from you guys an opportunity, and this will be a total wingnut thing here, but hey, I'm the chair. Would it be given, is it possible to offset the time of the requirement? Is that, I know that all the investment in the restaurant, rehabilitation of that old pool and squash court are happening right now. Could we offset in time so that it all doesn't hit the guy right now? Yeah.
What's the timeline?
What's the date here?
Could we give him till 2017?
no.
No. Okay.
2016?
Sorry.
Yeah, Councillor Salt.
I understand, absolutely, I want to support, I love seeing improvements and investments being made and understand wanting to help out in tough times. However, it's all these little helping out in tough times and whatever that has brought us to a lot of issues that we're having to address with variances. And I don't think it's being fair to all the other hotels in town that have fully paved parking lots, have all the parking requirements. I mean, is that fair to the hotel right across that has plenty of bus tour traffic as well? It has parking spots for all their rooms, has parking spots in front of their restaurant? That's all I'm saying. It's not fair to the other hotels when they all have met the requirements they have to. I fully am supportive. I think this is fabulous. I love seeing what he's done because I agree that building was horrible. And I'm willing to waive some, but again.
Mr. Mayor, can I just jump in from a technical point of view?
Yes.
Go ahead. There's a couple of, I thought you were going to shush me.
I wouldn't do that.
There's a couple of ways council could waive, because the motion on the floor was to waive some. The key requirements in section, or Schedule B rather, are the number of parking spots, so 14 parking spots in total required. So waiving some could be reducing that amount to a lesser. The second would be waiving the conditions around pavement, curbs, and lines. To say you need to have 14 spots, but we're okay with, say, gravel, and not requiring the asphalt pavement and the lines of the curb. So just to bear in mind when you're considering waiving some, that it could be the number, it could be the actual structure of the parking lot itself, or it could be a combination of the two. And I don't know if that will help your discussion, but.
And could you say gravel until 2017?
Yeah.
He's already got those red bricks,
all lot,
Pavers, yeah.
you know, I mean, wouldn't it be to his benefit to just finish it all off looking the same? Because right now, when you're a car, you drive in and you're driving on the hard stuff, and then you gotta drive up to the brick. I mean, it's not aesthetically pleasing, and, you know.
Okay.
Dust is a big issue in this community, and that's why we always try to encourage hard surfacing of some sort to help reduce the dust.
Well, you got the dust and the gravel in there, and a bus pulls in and hits the window on the car that's parked there, so.
Do we have the ability to do a time frame?
If that was the desire of council, I would prefer to go away as staff and assess it. Because there's implications for other aspects of the zoning bylaw. Say on a totally different issue, if we just were not enforcing that aspect of the zoning bylaw for X number of years. In this case, it's because of the business, you might be able to withhold a business license, if it's a residential home or something totally different. I'm not sure how that would look. So I just would need time to go away and think about it and talk to my colleagues.
Do we have a time frame on when his project will be completed?
I think it's tied into another piece that we're going to speak to tonight.
Okay.
I think the sewer piece is a big component of that.
It is. Best case scenario.
But still, he must have some kind of idea of when he's gonna have.
I'd say best case scenario would be sometime this summer.
The last council meeting we had, you were in favor of waiving some parking fees, or some parking spaces, pardon me. I'd be curious to know how many everybody is comfortable with waiving regardless of the surface right now.
I would say I'm comfortable with half.
Yeah. Well, we've got what, 14 that he needs?
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's, you know, it's so interesting as council because we have to like negotiate in front of the public, right? You know, it's a trick, and there's 5 of us and we're all sort of pulling in different directions. So I suggest that we give this with staff and see if there's a way to lock it down. Of course, we don't want one of those things that you come back and you never can enforce it, right? We've seen that. So it needs to be technically one where we can throw the hammer down, regardless of who owns it at that time, to say that this is the piece.
So we we do have time to defer this then for another meeting, to have staff.
I think it's worth it.
This could be deferred for another meeting or another month even.
Okay. Can I just ask some more questions? So maybe that you have more information to go on. If we say 7 parking spaces, where is everyone sitting with gravel until a year, or, you know, I'd be curious to know if the timeline of a surface, whether or not it's technically feasible, but I'd still like to have a conversation around it. Like, is gravel up to 2 years? Is just to go on the point that you've asked for, you know.
Has he got a preference on
What he was thinking of putting in there, or was he just not gonna put anything in there at all? Do we know?
In terms of the surface?
Yeah.
The gravel actually was delivered within the last 2 weeks. It was multiple truckloads of gravel.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that was his preference.
Yeah, that was probably his, I'll just do this, get her done.
You know, for paving or doing paving bricks for 7 parking stalls would not be a lot of money. It would be probably under $5,000, I would think. Because we just got some quotes on paving, so.
All right, just wanted to fet it out a little bit. I struggle with it just because I have some past history.
Sure, no, that's fair, and that's why we value this conversation. Yeah, it can be taken as it's a double-edged sword, right? Are we watering down the requirements for future Valemount? Are we aiding business and helping them when they need help, or, yeah. And then the question of, are we being fair to all businesses? And then there are some fairly, I'll just mention them to get them on the record, but I don't want to get in deep on them, but about other restaurants that have been granted, or yeah, even the Korean restaurant on Main, the 5th.
In the Schedule B here, I mean, I think we can talk about waiving the required fences, walls, hedges, and landscaped areas, as well as any buildings will be protected from parked vehicles. I mean, we don't need to worry about any of that. And if he's got gravel down, he can't put any curbs in, right?
I just have another comment, just with the occupancy in hotels in Valemount being at 100%, usually from the middle of June till the middle of September. You know, he can't guarantee us as a village that he's going to have a bus every night. Mm-hmm. You know, so if he has a bus 20 nights of the month, he's going to be full the rest of the month with regular guest traffic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, it's worthwhile asking staff if you're clear on what we'd like to understand from you. So, what I think would be fair to say is, can you vet a time-based proposal that would, so look at the technicalities of how incorporating time into.
So, Your Worship.
Yeah.
Do you mean as in a phased approach?
Yeah.
And we can agree on the number of parking spaces today, though, couldn't we?
Yeah.
We could make a motion there.
Yeah.
For 7?
I'll make a motion
Okay.
for 7.
Just to jump in, could you rescind the motion that's currently?
Well, we've got some on there, so we're actually thinking of finishing that one through.
Okay.
But
Just to find it?
But what we're going to add into the piece is this allowance for time. Is that,
It's not an
Braden, you gotta help out here, I don't know.
It's, back to staff to look at the
yeah.
ability of a phased approach,
Yeah.
like our CO said,
Right.
for, surface
Okay,
finish.
so maybe, I think because, the piece that we have on there really like nails it shut around, it doesn't speak to the time thing. So I think we should defeat that one.
Okay.
If we wanna put something on the floor as we go, okay, so,
I prefer there's 2 separate motions.
yes,
It'd be nicer to have the one with reducing it in half as one standalone motion, and the second would being, before notifying the public, the council directs staff to assess a time-based approach to the installation of the parking lot.
okay,
Or something
right on.
to that effect.
So let's take the vote on this piece that we've got on the table, and we're thinking, okay, I won't tell you how to vote, but all in favor of, the permit waiving some requirements, Schedule B of the zoning bylaw. Okay, motion is defeated. Councillor Bullock, a motion on the number of,
To reduce the parking requirements to 7.
okay,
I'll second it.
okay. All in favor? Okay. And then a motion to direct staff looking at a phased approach to the parking. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, and all in favor? That's great. Yes.
I just want to clarify with staff if that will include a way for this council or future councils to enforce that as well.
Absolutely.
Maybe a key point there, yeah. In a solution that works. Okay, very good, all right. We're now moving on to Grenfell Place, development variance 0614 Grenfell Place. We're gonna get good at these development variance permits. So, another situation altogether. Here's what staff recommends for the development variance of permit 0614, 1410 Grenfell Place. That we authorize staff to prepare the draft development variance permit 0614 to allow the relaxation of setback requirements to 1 meter on the east side of 1410 Cranberry Place.
Grenfell Place.
Grenfell Place, as per the drawings presented by the applicant, and notify the public of council's intention to issue the permit. I'm going to put this on the table. I'm going to move this.
I'll second it.
Boy, if anybody's going to watch a council meeting, this would be the one to watch.
Yeah, but you need to clarify
Yeah, we
why
need to
we do this
clarify.
now, because
Okay.
there's an existing shed that's already there.
This is a
So
replacement.
this is right. This, and it fits perfectly into what you said before, a new build versus
Something grandfathered in.
Okay, right on. So can you just explain the overarching piece, or I'm not sure?
Absolutely, yeah. The applicant of Grenfell Place has, I guess for the past 30 or 40 years, had a woodshed in this location. The woodshed is parallel, directly behind the current garage. The garage is still standing.
Okay.
The garage is within setbacks, but doesn't have a variance because it's an old garage. The woodshed is rotted out, and the applicant is just seeking to rebuild the woodshed in the same location. Still in line with the garage. I gather that even though it's 3 meters or 3 feet within the property line, we haven't obviously issued notices yet, but the neighboring property at this time has been happy with the arrangement because they've been using the side of the old shed to hang their ladders and other things. It's a situation on this particular development variance permit where it's a replacement of an existing structure that's been there for 40 years. No harm, no foul.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bullock, for speaking to that as well.
Well,
I
it's really
appreciate it.
tough. It's
Yeah.
tough because you want to let people do what they want on their own property. That's where I get really stuck with that, making the decision to say yes or no to
Yeah.
somebody.
It is genuinely tough. And
And even though this has been in place like this for so long, this would be an opportunity to fix
Yeah.
this by getting it set in properly. But then I know it won't look nice, that it won't be in line with the garage and everything, and
To take that a step further, unbeknownst to the proponent, they weren't realizing that they were in need of a variance because it was an existing structure, so all but the roof is already built. Which makes it a little bit more challenging.
Okay.
had we discovered this on the day of, like, somebody was like putting the measuring out tape to the whatever, we could have nicely said, bring it away from the fence, let's do it. Unfortunately, this is the case. So that's why, eyes and ears, people. Okay, very good. All right. I'm going to move the staff recommendation that we authorize staff to prepare the draft development variance permit 0614 to allow the relaxation of setback requirements to 1 meter of the east side of 1410 Grenfell Place as per the drawings presented by the applicant, and notify the public of council's intention to issue the permit. I get a seconder? Okay, Councillor Blanchette. Any discussion further? All in favor? Okay. I love how staff put all of these on tonight's agenda, eh? They're like, okay, anyways, this is a particular.
Just curious, when a house is sold in town or a new property or a new lot is bought, is there any welcome package to tell people what our policy and procedure is in construction of buildings? You know, where our setbacks are, because not everybody takes initiative to come into the office to find out, and it just incenses people when they've already put down a plan. And it's hard to encourage people to come in on their own, but I just wonder if there's any way.
Corporate Officer Hutchins and I had a discussion, and he asked the same question about, because the Chamber of Commerce has welcome packages. So we're going to be changing our welcome packages to incorporate things such as that.
Right on.
Because if there's
Already
an
done.
opportunity to educate the
Yeah.
public, to be proactive from the beginning, then it's not an us and them sort of situation.
Yeah, great.
So if I can just step in, that's going to be one of the roles of the bylaw officer as well. We have bylaw services as opposed to strictly bylaw enforcement.
Right on.
And education, public education is going to be a big piece of it.
And Dean seems keen about that. Great.
Okay, excellent. So moving on to item 14.6, temporary use permit 0214, 1442 Fifth Avenue. Let's set this up. This is Evergreen Tree Movers are looking for a temporary use permit to allow a storage yard for recreational vehicles and trailers for a 3-year period. So the idea is that recreational vehicles and trailers would just be on that property year-round. And so they're sort of seeking some advice in terms of, well, they're seeking a temporary use permit to allow that.
I have some questions.
Yes.
The recommendation is for us to deny the temporary use permit and encourage them to rezone. Has that conversation been had with the proponent at all?
It was had some months ago before the Christmas break, actually. We had a long talk about the advantages and disadvantages with each approach, temporary use permit and rezoning. And they chose to do the temporary use permit route. But we haven't talked about it since before January.
Really? So it's not, we don't call them before our meeting, before at all, to let them know that the recommendation is to deny?
Well, it's just a recommendation.
Okay. The other thing that I question is the fact that it doesn't jive with our official community plan to have that there right now.
It really doesn't.
At the same time, what was the date on our official community plan that we have right now?
2007.
2007. So I know that the snowmobiling and our recreation industry has been here for quite a while. Probably around 2007, things into the snowmobiling and the quadding got a little bit bigger here. And so I like the idea of the business that he is proposing for this. And to say it doesn't jive with our OCP today, and that we are looking at reviewing our OCP in the next year or two, I don't know how much that plays into my decision.
Yeah, go ahead.
This storage yard, is it just for their equipment? It's not a rental storage place, is it? It's storage, it says it's recreational vehicles, trailers and equipment.
I believe it would be for patrons of the nearby hotels when they stay overnight.
We don't know for certain that it was.
And it could be year-round,
Commercial venture.
as well as recreational, like
Yes.
RVs as
So
well.
they're gonna leave their stuff behind.
I believe it's a security type business.
I would make a motion to bring it back to staff for more information from the proponents. That's how I
Is it
feel.
like a jazzy, security covered parking lot?
Yeah, I would.
Or is it, my vision was Argos and snowmobiles and whatever catching dust for that half a seat just stacked up there. Like that's a brutal.
So, if I might speak to that question, Councillor Bullock,
That's a motion, actually.
well, I guess I'll leave it to the chair to call for a second to that.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor?
Yeah.
To bring it, so you're moving,
To kick it back to staff for
kick it
more
back to staff, get more
information.
information.
I'll second it.
And not
Yeah.
heads.
You want to talk? I'm happy to hear your.
It's my impression that the proponents are more, through this application, they're exploring what's feasible on that piece of property. I believe they bought it as an economic venture, they're out-of-town owners. But it's currently zoned R2, which only allows for single-family for dwellings, so it can't be used for commercial use. When we spoke at length, we said that the danger with the temporary use permit route is it only allows for whatever use is permitted by that temporary use permit. So in this case, a storage yard for recreational vehicles, trailers, and equipment. Beyond those 4 words, I have not heard anything about their business plan and when they would intend to set it up and what it might look like. Obviously, the advantage of the rezoning to C1 is that jives with the intent of the official community plan. For one, because it pulls it into the central business district, which already exists in the central community plan. Second of all, because they purchased the lot as a commercial venture thing, it makes sense to say, okay, make it a commercial venture, then we're not going to allow you to have taxes at residential rates while you run a commercial venture on there for 3 years with the potential for installing fences and other vegetation screening there.
Right.
And so that was why staff made that recommendation to deny was, one, it's within the central business district and the desire eventually is to rezone it to commercial, and two, that you're putting in commercial, or permanent and physical infrastructure, which would make sense to make it a more permanent thing than a temporary use permit.
I guess I just would like to take the impression of what was discussed in January and turn it into a collaboration now in May and just kind of feel it out a little bit.
They must have a more concrete idea of what they're doing. It's been 4
Well, maybe
months,
they
right?
don't, and that's fine, but you know, there's.
Yeah, I think what we can say, but either way, okay, the R2 zoning for this thing is not a good fit. I think we can all be clear with that.
Yeah.
So I think we could actually deny this, but say, let's work collaboratively, or not, or just, you go back to them and you can give them a strong feeling of that. We don't have to deny it. I don't know.
Do you mind if I speak?
Yeah.
Okay. The one concern I have with going back to them is from a planning perspective. It's not my business what their business model is. It's more, what's the use of that land? What's its impact on the surrounding neighborhood? And that's how, as a planner, I have to promote it. And they're under no obligation to relieve or to express their business models to me. They only have to say what they want to do, and I can say, well, no, or yes, that's a permitted use or not. And if it's not, then they have to go through this process. But they're under no really authority to give me more information. That would be the challenge.
Sure. See it.
Okay, where are we at?
I made a motion to,
And we had a seconder, and then all in favor. That, and just to repeat the motion?
This is sending it back to staff.
Sending
More information.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you help me to understand what information you're looking for?
I just would like to let them know where it's sitting in council today and denying that with the recommendation of denying it for C2 and just trying to find out some more information if they're willing to give it to us, what their business plan is, and if that, or not their business plan, or what their idea for, what their intentions are. And it's always really tough when I get letters in the mail being denied for something, months after I've put in an application and wondering, and then being told what the alternatives are. And I think I just would like to try, and it's a great piece of property, it's a great idea. I would just like to, you know, like our friends at the inn, set people up for success, especially when they're moving from other places into town.
Can I just add one thing? No disrespect to Recorder to Tall. They submitted the initial application, I think it was in December.
I see the date.
It sat with staff until now because they had not filled in the one line of what the use exactly was going to be, and the result of
I want to give them the opportunity. I would just, if it's one more council meeting,
No, we're working together, right? Like it's.
my thought.
Perfect.
I also agree that if it's going to be a commercial venture, then they should probably apply to have it rezoned.
Well, I think it wouldn't hurt to, deny the temporary use permit, just to be very clear on it. At least, you know, it's not nice, but at least it gets them further to say, no, you don't submit this again. That's not gonna go that way. If you want to do a commercial venture on that property, change it commercial. Is that, am I?
No, that's absolutely correct. I would, from the staff objective point of view, I would agree with Councillor Bullock that it wouldn't, for them to wait 2 more weeks, they've waited this long already. If we said this is the way council is leaning, this was the staff recommendation, but if you've got more information you'd like to provide that we can bring back to council, I
Just
think.
leave it there?
Just wait.
I think that would
Fair
be
enough.
no harm.
I love that. That's good. Right on. Okay, moving on. So 14.7, street vendor permit number 2, or type 2. So council needs to authorize staff to prepare the draft street vendor permit 2, prepare an agenda for a public hearing, and notify the public of council's intention to issue the permit. So this is the first fruit of our formerly street vendor bylaw, and, it still is the street vendor bylaw. So, yeah, Councillor Bullock. Councillor Latimer?
Question.
Question.
I noticed on their application that they don't list a business license number. He does have a business license, right?
Yes, he does.
Okay, thank you. I see these things.
He's gonna get a beat down if he doesn't have a business license. All right, on, okay. Further questions? Hearing no other questions, all in favor? Okay, excellent. Okay, so now we're moving on to tax rate bylaw number 718. This is a fourth and final reading, and here we go. I'd like to move the fourth and final reading of the tax rate bylaw. Councillor Bullock, seconds. Okay, discussion? Too late to change anything now, unless it's really important, but that would be difficult to accommodate.
Very difficult. It
But-
needs to be passed by the 15th.
No, I understand that, but we do need to give things due process. If there are concerns, we can hear them. That's important. All in favor? Very good. Phew. Okay, for receipt, Mayor McCracken's travel report. It's just a submission of expenses for the trip, as well as a report about what was discovered on that. Okay, Councillor Bullock will move it. Councillor Latimer seconds it. Questions? Yeah, all in favor?
Sorry, I'd love to catch up with you on your discussion with Neil Muth on the community initiative.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. Okay, moving on to 15.2, Councillor Latimer's travel report to meet with Venture Kamloops. Councillor Latimer, we'll get you to move it, and Councillor Bullock was up first with her hand. And for information only, but also a brief report on what was achieved at that, and also listing the participation of Councillor Salt and Councillor Blanchette, so very good. Okay, all in favor? No new business?
No, we do.
We do, new business, here we go. Notice of motion.
Do the rest of our council reports?
So,
Yes, could be.
okay, very good. Let's do verbal council reports.
I better go first.
Oh my
I'm sorry. Okay.
Did you write a book?
Yes, I did. Hey, I did lots of stuff. I'm going to tell everybody. So, April 24th, I attended the Climate Resiliency Workshop given by Columbia Basin Trust, and it was extremely scary. Some of the key takeaways were how does our climate affect our community now, and what are we going to do to adapt to the changes that are coming? On the 24th, I attended the Canoe Valley Recreational Center meeting. Nothing new to report there. Our Healthy Community grant is out and ready for people to give us their submissions. The newspapers are really helping me out, and I believe each one of them are doing a story this week on it. The May 6th to 10th, I attended the North Central Local Government Association conference in lovely Fort St. John with Councillor Salt and Mayor McCracken. We went through a lot of resolution debates and passed, I think, mostly all of them, I think.
There were a couple.
A couple, but not many, yeah. I attended the energy literacy tour given by Progress Energy. We toured a working camp, which was really cool, and saw close up one of the drill rigs, which was absolutely fantastic. I think everybody took about 500 pictures. And it was just nice to learn stuff. When you only hear little tidbits, you don't really know anything, and so this sort of puts it in perspective. I attended the Northern Medical Trust Programs Trust AGM, and I'm honored and pleased to say that I am now a new trust director on the board. So for anybody that doesn't know anything about the Medical Trust Program, I just want to give them a quick rundown. It's a partnership of Northern Communities and UNBC. It was established in 2002. and it aims to increase the number of healthcare professionals practicing in the North by supporting educational programs and experiences that provide students with exposure to Northern communities and rural practice. And just to say that it's one of the most popular designations for UNBC donations. Over the last decade, more than 1,350 donors have contributed to the trust, and the endowment is currently sitting at $9 million. So it's really a wonderful opportunity to work with a really successful program. So I'm quite excited. What else was there? At the banquet, our keynote was the Olympic medalist Denny Morrison. We got to hold a gold medal. They had a silver and a bronze floating around. Hey, how many people can say they've touched one, right? Like, that was really cool. And I thought for such a young person, he was a very good speaker. He was completely honest, and it was just interesting to hear his experiences. We attended a few workshops, camps in BC, expanding mobile workforces and how they affect our communities, energy leadership, social and municipal impacts on community and economic growth. That's it.
Good report.
I have nothing to report.
So I took your time and mine.
Yes.
Councillor Bullock?
All I have is a community forest meeting that I can't say too much about right now.
Ditto to what Councillor Blanchette said about the climate resiliency workshop. Although I wasn't quite as terrified because my husband and I are really up on climate change, and knowing that basically it's almost too late to try and turn it around, but hey, you know, maybe we'll try. I've attended several Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association planning meetings, and come this weekend, I'm gonna be, it's been a whirlwind, and thanks again to staff, CEO Yanciw, Economic Development Officer Gislimberti, Marketing Coordinator Jen Robinson, and all the other staff for tolerating and putting up with me coming in, and phone calls and emails and everything. It's thank you so much, all of you, for that. And then I also attended the NCLGA AGM and convention, and I won't reiterate everything that Councillor Blanchette said. She covered things very well. Thank you for doing that for me tonight. And I think that's it for me.
Okay, great. I've been absent for a meeting, so there's some things to report from before last meeting, but I won't go on for too long. But one of the really fun ones was am I sure that I didn't go? Yeah. Oh my God, it's been so busy. Geothermal workshop at the geothermal get-together at Three Ranges Brewery. So it's an informal gathering. It was just put out on our Facebook group, and we called an engineer from McBride. Archie McLean's really interested in. Had a chance to meet with Craig Dunn and Ashley Derry, geologists who are out here doing work, and they had a tremendous helping hand from Owen Torgerson, who took them to various properties, liaised with well owners to get. What's really interesting is they're creating a really good map of the geothermal resource below us, so a sense of where fractures and everything are. And there's so much data that if they have a good relationship with local people, they can just use that and place it into a model. So as we just actually, Owen Torgerson was part of a project, CREFOR, that looked at what the costs are for getting this far in terms of geothermal, knowing geothermal resources, and it was a lot more expensive than free. So we're we're really moving things along without paying any money, just being good friends and cooperating in a very intelligent way with Borealis Geopower based out of Calgary. So it's nice to see those things come forward. It was a good meeting and just a rather informal meeting, but for those of us who wanted to geek out a little bit, there was a good opportunity to get data. At the last regional district meeting, I can't believe it was that long ago, this actually predates that. The last regional district meeting, we found ourselves in a precarious situation with recycling. The city is being picked up by, that is Prince George, has been chosen as an area that MMBC will serve, Multi-Material Recycling BC. As a result, that changes the program and it sort of throws it into chaos. To date, Valemount's been piggybacking off of the larger Prince George Recycle program, and now things are thrown into sort of a new territory. But things kind of got heated. There were some letters to the editor of the Prince George paper, and there was much hand-wringing. And in the local papers, the situation was sort of covered, that the idea is recycling could end as soon as May 31st. I can't speak for a meeting that hasn't happened yet, but I'm fairly confident that staff at the regional district and the directors have found a better way to move forward. So I'd urge people not to be too concerned, but changes are on the horizon. We won't be able to continue in the way we've been doing things for forever. That means recycling opportunities could get worse, they also could get better.
And your regional district meeting isn't until Thursday, right?
So that my regional district meeting is on Thursday, and that's where we'll really hammer out a solution here. So lots of thoughts and ideas have been shared, and I think we're working on a good program with the city, with other directors, with the regional district to move things forward in a positive way.
Good deal.
Yeah, it's tough because there's nothing certain, but go forward and hope. I managed to make a meeting with the CBT Annual Advisory Committee meeting, where the CBT board directors meet with all the people that serve on advisory committees. So for example, Dee McCracken serves on the social committee. She wasn't there, but I was able to meet with other people of her ilk, working in other parts of the basin, as well as Bill Crisselbrink. He's on the environment committee. He also wasn't there. Actually, it's his time is done there on the committee. He served 6 years, probably more than, and is really respected down there as chair. And I mentioned Bill a couple times. I said, did he get the chance to work with Bill? And they said, oh, Bill, he's a bright cookie. That's what one guy said. Anyways, but it was really neat to meet with the advisory committee, and I guess it's always tough to work on those advisory committees, but my experience on the board, what I was able to contribute was very emphatically that should any of you people or people in the public have the opportunity to work in those advisory boards, they really do set the course for the CBT, in each of these sectors. So there's sectoral, social, environmental, economic, and youth. And it was amazing to hang out with the youth kids who are just bright as buttons, and it'd be lovely to see some kids from here go in that direction. Then we went to NCLGA, which was as fabulous as Councillor Blanchette said, and of course, many resolutions were passed, but the two most important ones, which will ring in history forever, are the two that we sent as forward as late resolutions. And it was really nice that the NCLGA considered those and then brought them forward with such a resounding success. So I anticipate that when we bring these things to UBCM, as long as, not foreseeing any barriers, that we're going to get a resounding support from UBCM too. And hopefully if we can do a committee workshop down there, or a clinic, we can really convince people that this is not just a good idea that should happen up in Valemount, but it's a really good idea for the province to embrace. And, for example, not consider Site C. Really, if they had the numbers for geothermal and could back up what they're saying, that geothermal is not an alternative, I'd be comfortable with that. But that's not the case. So, okay. So verving into some provincial politics there. But that essentially concludes my report.
Right.
Motion to receive the reports? Okay. We had a first and seconder there, I'm sure. All in favor? Okay, very good.
Now new business.
Now new business, right on.
So this comes up as well from NCLGA, and it was through some very wonderful conversations had with the McBride Council And Regional District, Art Kane was very pleased to see us sitting and visiting and chatting and working together as neighbors. And so a resolution is going forward tonight in McBride to work on as well with the whole launch of the Robson Valley region, how we as the two municipalities can maybe get together, work, collaborate, share what we're struggling, where we're succeeding, how we can support and help each other to have a stronger voice as two communities together with the regional district and then with the province. So they are bringing forward a motion tonight that we hold one meeting here in Valemount with both our councils and one meeting in McBride with both our councils, open public meetings as well, to show the public how we are trying to work together collaboratively. So this is the notice of the motion I will bring forward at our next meeting.
Great, excellent.
Unless council wishes to support it now, but.
I would like to just push it through now because it's a really good idea. Pardon?
2 meetings a year then?
No,
No,
this is
this
a one-time, well, not a one time, but this is just for now, it's not.
Yeah, it's just put our brains together and figure out what we're gonna do. We're gonna be stronger together than we are separate. We're gonna come up with way more ideas together than separate. We're two identical communities, so why not work together? And like Councillor Salt said, together we've got a stronger voice. So unfortunately, this would fall to staff to contact each other and figure out what.
Or can I just get some description, meaning a council meeting, a Valemount council meeting, but their council attends and then our council attends their
It's
meeting?
actually.
What does this look like?
What it looks like from my understanding, and Councillor Blanchette, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's actually a joint council meeting.
It's not even a council meeting.
Not a council meeting.
No. It would be a collaborative with
Like
the two.
a working meeting or.
Like on a Monday at 7 or 3 or whatever time we think that is going to be beneficial to both groups and to the citizens.
So maybe
Like we said, it could be an open
workshop. I don't know what we want to call it, whatever we need to call it.
We were calling it a.
This is really reminiscent of, we could call it something like a community to community.
Well, collaborative workshop.
Yeah.
Totally.
I love it. Let's support it. Let's do it right now.
Yes, let's.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to push that through and
Okay.
get it going.
I made the motion.
Okay, there you go. All right, I'll second it. Since it was my idea.
Could you just clarify the motion you'd like on the minutes?
Oh, you know what I did?
To explore and proceed with a joint meeting,
A joint collaboration.
joint collaboration
And
with McBride Council.
That staff follow up with McBride's staff as far as coordinating dates and times for these two.
And an agenda.
Yes, agendas,
Yep.
yes, they'll have agendas.
But it's not
Okay.
formal. It's more of an
I
informal.
think it was meant to be more informal, but
Yeah.
we'll still have an agenda because
Yeah.
we would have to, but it's,
Could it be along the lines of here we are, this is where we want to be, how do we get there, sort of?
yeah, because what we found is we have so many similar challenges, especially when being at NCLJ. There's a lot of things going on up in the north on liquefied natural gas and mining and et cetera, and we're kind of those lost communities that, we have a pipeline, but not a whole lot else, and so we're both finding that we're having similar challenges, and so let's see if we can't, extend this Robson Valley region work and work together.
Beautiful.
We thought so.
So did you wrote that down, just what she said? Excellent.
Yep.
Do we have it seconded?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor? All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Any opposed? No. Okay, very good. That's good, right on. Okay, I like the gentle way that you brought that up, that was good. Notice of motion, it's good.
I know, I saw you kind of get your hair going.
I'm like, whoa, where's this going?
It's like, where's she going now?
That's good, I love it.
Yeah, on your toes.
I like that. I really do. Okay, so we've got a list of outstanding previous council resolutions, just to take a look at. We don't need to take action with those. We have a calendar of events that is not.
No, I guess not. Okay.
And that brings us to public comment, and let's just skip over that. No, we won't. This is an opportunity in the meeting for everybody here knows what the rules are, so I won't belabor them. But if address council, just give your stand up, name and address, and speak for 2 minutes or less on an issue that was on the agenda.
You guys spoke for a lot more than 2 minutes. Owen Torgerson, 911 Elm Street. First of all, thank you to council for your support, to the Valemount Marina Association and their feasibility study to look at a bi-directional camera system and weather station. And as a member and board member at large at the Curling Club, thank you so much for supporting their application to the NDIT. You're right, Mr. Mayor, not all superheroes wear capes, and last Sunday we did a Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all of you, and I hope you said the same to your mothers, because my mother is my superhero. Previous councils took advantage of a variance development committee. There were 3 members in the community that did work with staff. It might be a consideration for a lot of variances. There are setbacks for a reason, and especially in new developments. And one of the top priorities there is fire protection. Whether you pass it, insurances and agencies will look at that and say, well, your setback was within, or not within parameters of the actual property. It's something to consider. That being said, walls on a woodshed are not difficult to replace. You can simply just move that thing over, especially when it's full of firewood and it was within 1 meter of somebody else's property, could be a disadvantage. I'd actually like to publicly congratulate Corporate Officer Hutchins and his ability to separate bureaucracy and politics. I too was at the Climate Change Resiliency Workshop as a member of the APC, and after that workshop, I gave the invitation to take the members that coordinated that workshop down to see the drawdown area of the canoe reach, and it's something they've never seen before. So the eyes and ears of both Kate and Dr. Wiesner have been opened, and they are on the lobbying for other alternative energies. Calendar of events, I'd just like to remind everybody that May 28th, the Chief Forester will be in McBride to give her announcement on the AAC, and I don't think she'd be going there to be publicly hanged, so that's good news. And it sounds like with your last motion, trying to strike a working committee with the Village of McBride, I fully support that, and that's my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. We could have listened for a lot longer.
Yeah.
That was nice. Eh?
You're up for it.
Just a short comment, Corey Marshall, 9101 Elm Street. Just wanted to thank you as well on behalf of the Curling Club for your support for our application.
Okay.
Thank you, Valerie.
Okay, great. Seeing no other comments, Danelda?
We're all staring at you.
Just even to show those shoes off on camera. Okay, very good. Lovely. Motion to receive public comments. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt. All in favor? Received. Okay, now our next piece is a notice to proceed in camera. 20.1. We're going to proceed in camera for consideration of 7 items as per section 91F, 1I, 1K, and 2B of the community charter. How's that for transparency? Councillor Salt, Councillor Latimer, all in favor?
Thank you.
That was good, love that.